If you're watching the Fallout TV show, you might think that these subterranean vault-tec vaults, ostensibly there to keep people safe from radioactive devastation on the surface, aren't as safe as promised. The vault suits, however, to die for.
You can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a vault-tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
That's not even the half of it though, because as we've discovered over and over in the Fallout video games, the vaults have a sinister secondary purpose. They're social experiments sponsored by the government and vault-tec to see how people react to different situations in a controlled environment. And let me tell you, these experiments, extremely f***ed up.
Vault-tec destroyed my life. Vault-tec can burn for all I care.
Here are the 10 worst Fallout vaults in order of increasing f***ed upness, and all of them so bad we'd rather take our chances in the wasteland. Enjoy! Vault 114, visited in Fallout 4, was created to house Boston's social elite in the case of atomic war. Its residents were promised luxury accommodation where they would mingle with only the cream of Massachusetts society. But as you can see, the accommodation is the opposite of luxurious. In fact, Vault 114 was designed to be as cramped and uncomfortable as possible, with whole families crammed into single rooms, shared bathrooms, and minimal comforts to test how these previously financially advantaged folks would cope with what vault-tec describes as stressful situations. The final vault-tec flourish was the appointment of the Overseer, who was a crazy person named Soup Can Harry.
Mr. Soup Can, would you mind telling me why you're distrustful of the government?
I've seen what they do. Gum up the works with red tape and bureaucracy, take every hard-earned cent and use it to fund their Illuminati, Freemason sex parties.
Yes, put him in charge. Also, vault-tec staff were specifically told not to undermine his authority just because it would be funny, I guess.
I ain't wearing no goddamn tie. Or pants.
Sadly, we don't know how the reign of Soup Can Harry would have panned out because Vault 114 was unfinished and we don't know if any residents actually made it inside before the bombs dropped. Still, Harry seemed to be basically unkillable, so he probably did okay.
I seen the back of them Abraxo boxes. Not for consumption. Don't you tell me what to do. I'll eat what I want.
Man, good luck if you're put into Vault 108, where the experiment seems to have been, let's see how much ridiculous shit people can put up with until they die. Officially, the premise of Vault 108, seen here in Fallout 3, was to observe conflict for leadership and power. The Vault's Overseer was intentionally chosen to be someone likely to die soon after the Vault was sealed, the main power supply was scheduled to break 20 years into the experiment, and the backup power supply was designed to not work properly. Also, the Vault was stocked with 3 times the usual amount of guns, and no entertainment at all. You can see what they were going for here.
Gary.
What the vault-tec brainiacs surely didn't predict was the actual outcome, in which a Vault resident named Gary used the Vault's cloning lab to clone himself a bunch of times. These Gary clones then murdered everyone else, so Vault 108 eventually became entirely populated by identical men all screaming Gary at the top of their lungs.
Gary!
So, an unexpected result there. I guess the Vault experiments were worthwhile after all. Nobel Prizes all round. Vault 19 in the Mojave wasteland in Fallout New Vegas was part of a vault-tec experiment to see if the Vault dwellers themselves could do all the hard work required to drive everyone crazy. This was achieved by selecting subjects who were already paranoid, then segregating them into 2 completely arbitrary groups, red and blue, then limiting contact between the groups. The first time a pipe bursts in the blue sector, it was naturally blamed on the reds, and so begins the descent into intra-Vault conflict, as evidenced by the wild, paranoid ramblings you find all over the place.
Some of the computers still work, but the only files are diaries and garbage. Typical Vault.
The fate of Vault 19's inhabitants is unknown, but we're guessing it was less that they overcame their differences and all lived happily ever after, and more, they all killed each other. Another scientific success for vault-tec. Vault 81 from Fallout 4 was designed to help scientists develop a universal cure for all diseases. Obviously, vault-tec wanted to do this in as dickish a way as possible, so they built 2 Vault 81s, one for scientists and one for regular people that the scientists could infect with diseases and watch 24/7 through 2-way mirrors.
A real nice hold. Make this about you. Don't you think about anyone other than yourself?
Luckily for the residents of Vault 81, their overseer wasn't what you'd call vault-tec material in that she had a conscience. When the vault was due to be sealed, she sabotaged the phone list so that hardly any of the scientists made it into the vault before it closed, and the 3 scientists who did make it in were cut off from the residents and trapped for good on the science side of the vault divide. So Vault 81 turned out pretty well in the end, no thanks to vault-tec. Unless you were one of the scientists, I guess, although they did create a French doctor robot over there, and she finally succeeded in creating the universal cure they were after. So, mission accomplished.
I am pleased to report I completed my primary duties 83 years ago.
I'm sure these scientists' graves are very proud. The official line on Vault 92 from Fallout 3 is that it was constructed to preserve humanity's greatest musicians.
They claimed the vault would be dedicated to preserving musical talent.
Someone at Vault-tec clearly thought that sounded much too boring and humane, so instead they decided to use it to test out the feasibility of using white noise generators to implant subliminal messages with the aim of creating an army of hyper-aggressive super soldiers, who are also really good at violin. Except, and you can probably start to spot the pattern here, the constant white noise caused people to go gradually insane.
Disaster today. One of our test subjects, V920717, has murdered 3 other residents in a fit of unbridled rage, the likes of which I've never seen.
Over half the Vault's population eventually became violently unstable murderers, and violently unstably murdered the other half. Who needs new music anyway? We've got Galaxy News Radio, am I right?
It's me, 3Dog. How you kids handling post-apocalyptia today?
It's weirdly impressive that Vault-tec scientists got as far as Vault 106 before they got bored of cooking up creative ways to send everyone insane and just raided the Vault-tec stationery cupboard for psychoactive drugs. After the vault was sealed, Vault 106 dwellers got 10 glorious days of precious sanity before the aforementioned psychoactive drugs were pumped in via the air filtration system. Some of the residents relaxed into a calm, hallucinatory state, but others went violently hat-stand, and as the old saying goes, it only takes one bad apple to murder everyone with a pool cue.
Hey!
If you venture into Vault 106 yourself in Fallout 3, you'll start to suffer the effects yourself, seeing hallucinations of Vault 101 residents as you fend off the insane survivors that roam the halls. Although that does introduce the possibility that the rest of the game after this point is one long drug-induced hallucination. Still, free science bobblehead. Worth it. Speaking of drugs, Vault 95 from Fallout 4 is also drug-themed, but crueler, if you could imagine such a thing. At first glance, its goals appear to be noble. The concept was to help rehabilitate drug addicts. Locked in the Vault, away from chems, and participating in group therapy, Vault residents stand the best chance of kicking their habit for good. And even if they can't do it on their own, the Vault comes equipped with a detox chamber that'll do it for them. Maybe just put them all in there to begin with? Is this finally a bit of philanthropy from Vault-tec? Are they helping some sick people with their problems? What do you think? One of the residents of the Vault was actually a Vault-tec sleeper agent who, after 5 years had passed, would open up a secret room full of drugs for all the recovering drug addicts to discover. He was then to document his findings, although the fact that there is only one entry in his diary and the fact that everyone is dead in a big pile of drugs kind of shows you how that one turned out. The aim of Vault 12, explored in the original Fallout, was to study the effects of radiation on a sample population. This scientific objective was achieved by the high-tech method of having a shoddy door that didn't close properly. The scientific result was that everyone in Vault 12 died of radiation poisoning or turned into an insane radioactive ghoul.
There'd better be a killer reason for standing in my shadow. Does next on the menu ring a bell for you, Normie?
Hey, Vault-tec, the effects of radiation on humans were scientifically well understood already, even in the 1950s, let alone the 2070s. Probably didn't need to irradiate over 500 people to see what would happen. You head into Vault 112 in Fallout 3 while looking for your missing dad and quickly discover the residents are all trapped inside a virtual reality simulation of a suburban American neighborhood by a sadistic Vault-tec scientist called Dr. Braun.
Yay, you did it! Good job!
A clever approach. I'm not sure I would have considered it. Very encouraging.
Or Betty, I guess. Anyway, the Tranquility Lane simulation exists so that Braun can torture the inhabitants to keep himself amused in this post-television world. That's something he'd very much enjoy your help with. If you go along with Braun's scheme, he'll ask you to make kids cry, break up marriages, and kill housewives in as creative a manner as possible. Yikes. After that, subtlety pretty much goes out the window and it's on with the clown mask and out with the butcher knife as you become the pint-sized slasher and carve up everyone in town for Braun's amusement.
No, please, get away!
Or if you'd rather not go along with the torture-obsessed evil murder doctor, you can activate a failsafe program inside Tranquility Lane's abandoned house, which spawns an invading Chinese army into the street, who will swiftly and efficiently mow everyone down, killing them in real life, and leaving Braun alone in the simulation with no one to torture.
You've triggered the failsafe! Ruined everything! The subjects will die and I'll be stuck here in this hell, alone!
Okay, now, where's my dad? Oh, he was the dog the whole time. Well, this is awkward. Exactly how many murders did you see me commit, Dad?
It's nice to feel that I'm on two legs again.
At number 1, the worst, most effed up of all the Fallout vaults, it's Vault 11. After the door to Vault 11 closed, the inhabitants were told by their overseer that they would have to sacrifice one of their fellow vault dwellers every year, or everyone in the vault would die.
Greetings, martyr, and welcome. If you're here now, it means you've been offered up as a sacrifice so that your vault can continue to thrive.
Thanks for that, overseer. Guess who was the first sacrifice? After this communal sacrifice, whoever held the position of overseer was always the one chosen to die, and so elections for overseer became ruthless, cutthroat affairs which eventually led to blackmail, murder, and finally civil war that killed all but 5 inhabitants of the vault. With all the vicious irony of a saw trap, it transpires that the Vault 11 program was actually to test morality against self-preservation. All the vault dwellers needed to do was refuse to sacrifice anyone in the first place, and the whole deadly experiment would be over. Dick move, vault-tec.
Congratulations, citizens of Vault 11. You have made the decision not to sacrifice one of your own. You can walk with your head held high, knowing that your commitment to human life is a shining example to us all. Despite what you were led to believe, the population of Vault 11 is not going to be exterminated for its disobedience. Instead, the mechanism to open the main vault door has now been enabled, and you can come and go at your leisure.
Still, at least 5 people survived unharmed and uncrazy, so partial success? Oh.
Ready, Harry? Yeah. No, wait!
Those were the Fallout vaults we'd least like to be locked in come the apocalypse. Which do you fancy least? Let us know in the comments below, and check out the videos on screen right now for more Fallout from Outside Xbox. Thanks for watching.